All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Back again for another one. And I'm a little bit late on this one, but got busy. But I'm finally here. I'm getting on it. And what I'm talking about is my thoughts over the trailer for A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. This is the next installment of a TV show from the world of George R. R. Martin, Westeros. This one takes place, it says 100 years, but I think it's more or less 90 years, roughly 90 or maybe high 80s. I don't have it right in front of it. I know it's not 100 years, but anyway, a long time before the start of Game of Thrones, the show that brought us into the world for most people. But, right off the bat, just looking at the trailer, it locked me in. I'm here for it. I'm ready to see it. This story or this world, this time period, there are no dragons. This is all like contained, as self-contained. So we won't be going to different parts of Westeros. We won't be going to different parts of Westeros. It will, matter of fact, the first season, these episodes will all be at this tourney. I believe it's Ashford. That's where everything, for the most part, is going to take place. I think there may be some flashback scenes. We may see Dunk's origin in Flea Bottom, or maybe some other flashbacks, from his squiring days. But like I said, I'm impressed. And it's good. It's good to not have end of the world states. It's just good we can be in this world. And I think, like I said, this is more or less, this is going to be a character study, of course, of the main character, Dunk. There are some questions, some things that will get answered, hopefully. Like, there's a theory that, most people who have read the material believe that he's not really a knight. He wasn't knighted properly or whatever, but it's like the contradiction that we saw in Game of Thrones, where you had guys that were knighted, but they were not living out or being knights. They were the complete opposite, where you had characters like the Hound who rejected, being a knight, and in times would do knightly things. So it can challenge your whole, your whole thinking of it, because like I said, this guy, he's not truly a knight, but he has all the qualities of a knight. A knight, being called a knight, is just a title. It's will you act out and do what it takes to be a knight? And that's kind of where most of the story takes place. The incident that causes everything to pop off for Egg is he steps in and does some knightly things, which results in him being in a lot of trouble. I don't want to spoil anything for you, but that involves the royal family, because he was doing what a knight is supposed to do. But like I said, all in all, things I really enjoyed. I'm a huge Baratheon guy. Baratheon is my favorite house. The House Baratheon, those are my guys. And so it was good to actually see. We got to see Lionel Baratheon, the Laughing Storm. The thing about it is, as far as not comic, but accurate to the story, the Baratheons are, they're big guys. They're big strapped. They're known for their size, of course, the black hair, the blue eyes. However, it's all about the essence of the character. And I think this actor, I think he's going to pull it off, just like Mark Addy did in season 1. Like, because if you look at the material, Robert Baratheon is 6'6". However, Mark Addy is not that. He's actually smaller than Ned or Sean Bean's character, but he had the essence of Robert Baratheon. And I think this is what we're going to see in this story. So as somebody who's a fan of the Baratheons, it was great to see that. And like I said, the guy who's playing Dunk, I think Dunk has long hair, if I remember right. But that's here or there, that's nitpicking. But from what I've seen, I like it. It looks like him and the actor who plays Egg, they have good chemistry together, because they're going to need it, because they're going to be together for I'm sure this is going to get multiple seasons, but that looks good there. And what I will say I had difficulty with is, I don't know, it looked just too desaturated. There was like no color, like the light, it just looked like it was hard to see, like very foggy, overcast. So that's kind of one of the knocks I may have. Now, some things I may worry about is, okay, we get through season one. Are these creators going to do the same thing? Are they going to backdoor George R. R. Martin like the others have done, like Dan and Dave, how they've done on House of Dragon, how they're basically not wanting to listen to any input that George has? Is this something that might happen? We get a good first season and then the wheels fall off going forward. But I think House of the Dragon, I think season three, they will find their way. We saw what happened with Game of Thrones. It never found its way. Starting with season five, it just completely fell apart by its end. So I'm hoping that the creator of this show, keeps George in the loop. Because the thing about it is, George, last year, I believe, he was very high on the show. He gave this show great praise. And you got to know, George is not afraid to criticize, these works that people are working on his shows. He doesn't have a problem going on his blog and posting about what they're doing wrong. So right off the bat, excuse me, he's given it his approval, his stamp of approval. Now, the thing about George is he's not innocent in all this, because here's the fact, like all of his other stuff, Dunk and Egg, just like Game of Thrones, it's not a finished product. So there's going to be a point where they get to beyond where he is done writing. And that's where it comes important to keep him in the loop. That's why I'm hoping they keep him in the loop, because Game of Thrones, by the time they ran out of material, it started going downhill and their relationship with George had already fractured. And so we saw what those two idiots did. And the abomination that they gave us. House of the Dragon, the verdict is still out. I mean, from what I understand, things aren't going so well, but I think they will find their way come season three, because some of the problems that they dealt with, it was out of their control. There was a writer's strike, and things of that sort. So that's kind of, that was out of their hands. And then they were told, they wrote a show for 10 episodes. They were told abruptly that this needs to be 8. So that's why, things were off the rails for them. Hopefully, like I said, season 3, they found their way. But with this show, I like it. I like the change. Like I said, I like the change of pace. We get some humor in there in the trailer. It's small, small in scale. And like I said, I'm liking this. That's all, guys. That's all I really wanted to say here. I just give my quick thoughts about it. Like I said, I'm impressed. I'm impressed, and I'm looking forward to January 16th. I will be reviewing the episodes for that show, so stay tuned to that. So, guys, like I always say, if it's for 1 minute, 5 minutes, or the whole damn video, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to view my content. If you haven't already, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe, smash the like, get in the comments. Let me know, were you impressed as well with this trailer, or are you I don't know, maybe you're on the opposite side of things. Either way, I'd love to hear from you. So get in those comments and let me know. And so with that being said, everybody, it's your boy P signing off. And guys, until the next video, have a good one.